I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this, guys. This is very important because John Filax did a really, really well thought out, I thought, video, and he made a lot of really important comments about a video that was put out originally by Rights Crispy, and then a lot of other, auditors talked about it. I didn't, because I knew a lot of other people did a way better job. So Rights Crispy puts out the video. Audit the Audit commented on the video. But when you watch Audit the Audit's video, and I'm not going to play that or John Filax. As a matter of fact, I suggest you watch John Filax's video, and I'll put the link in the description and the pinned comment so you can take a look at it. If you do, let them know that Here's the Deal sent you. But here's a little bit of the background. I am going to go over some of the, the sequence of events. On December 18th, 2021, this lady right here, well, we'll get with her name. Rights Crispy's wife's cousin got pulled over by the Santa Rosa County Sheriff's deputies, D'Souza and Crawford, for having an invalid license. We're going to get to the invalid license thing in a second. I'm going to just lightly touch on it, but it's a key part of this whole situation, because what law enforcers do, see, they're out there supposed to be protecting and serving, but they're running plates all day. And that's one of the things that either Crawford or D'Souza, I can't remember which one said it, said that they do. Hey, we run plates all day. I run tons of plates. That's what I do all day. I run plates, because they're looking for a way to conduct a fishing experiment so they can walk up to your car and say things. Hey, I smell something. Where you been? Where you going? Does your story line up? You've been drinking? Did you just come back from the bar? What's that over there in your seat? What's that in your back seat? What's that on the, is that shake I see on the floorboard? So they conduct these fishing experiments under the guise of, well, hey, your license plate light was out. Or in this case, you have an invalid license. I ran your plates and it's invalid. And then they pull you, that's not even the worst thing. They pull you over. As you can see, this is on some kind of, interstate. It's a roadway where the traffic is speeding along at high rates of speed, high rates of dangerous speed. So now you've pulled over. One of the last things you want to do when you're an occupant in a car or a truck is pull over to the side of the road, because it's super dangerous. But that's what they do every day, all day. They pull you over and put you in harm's way. All it takes is a tie rod to break, a tire to pop, an axle to crack, somebody to fall asleep, some stupid teenager texting, swerving over into your lane, banging you in the back and killing everybody inside that vehicle. And you wouldn't even be sitting there if the cops, who are supposed to be serving and protecting, but rather they're harassing and collecting, didn't pull you over. So she gets pulled over for an invalid license. She was following her sister, who pulled over as well, to a safe distance of about 50 feet ahead of her. And you can see that from this angle right here. This is the black car that we just saw. This is the white car that got pulled over for the invalid license. So the cop and his backup escalate the situation, but first they initiated the situation to give someone a hard time for doing something that the courts have ruled in the past. And this is the problem that I have with Audit the Audit, is he brings up these court cases that clearly has the Supreme Court, when it goes into the higher courts, the Supreme Court clearly, when they pass down these judgments and they bring in their verdict, they've clearly gone against their oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. And usually it's in the form of infringing on your freedom of speech, freedom of the press, or right to be secure in your person's houses, papers, and effects. So they're giving her a hard time about something that the courts have ruled in the past. Travel is not a privilege requiring licensing, vehicle registration, or forced insurances. I'm going to touch on that real quick right here, because Audit the Audit likes to bring up Supreme Court cases, so I'm going to bring up some of my own. But this is stuff that most Americans don't know. Knowledge is power. If you don't have this knowledge, and if you desire to be ignorant and free, you desire something that never was and would never shall be. In this 1979 California case right here, this is what one of the judges said. The right of the citizen to drive on a public street with freedom from police interference is a fundamental constitutional right. This is from a 1966 court case called Adams versus the City of Pocatello. The right to operate a motor vehicle and automobile upon the public streets and highways is not a mere privilege. You hear this all the time from fake stream media. Driving is a privilege. It's not a right. Well, that's not what the courts have said. And guys, the only reason I bring up Supreme Court cases is if, well, I'll bring them up for two reasons. Number one, I'll bring them up if their verdict corresponds with and is in line with the Constitution they're supposed to be upholding, or I'll bring it up and be quick to point out, hey, this verdict goes against the Constitution that they're supposed to be upholding. And that's what Audit the Audit did time and time again in his video, is he brought up court cases that empowered the so-called public servant law enforcement class and disempowered the people that they're supposed to be protecting and serving. It is a right of liberty, the enjoyment of which is protected by the guarantees of the federal and state constitutions. That's Adams versus City of Pocatello. And there's more. There's so many more, guys. And what I'll do is I'll leave the links here. And again, this is not, I'm not giving you legal advice, okay? I want you to know that right now. Don't take legal advice from me. I'm not giving legal advice. All I'm sitting here doing is reading court cases and verdicts and the things that the judges have declared about driving being a privilege or a right. And you know, it's not even so much, there's all this terminology involved, which I don't have down pat. But it's, you know, there's driving versus traveling, taking your property from point A to point B, etc. But the point is that they pulled this woman over for doing something that some would say is a right. That's a huge, huge factor in all this, because they will always use pulling you over for some driving infraction to justify further encroachments on your liberty. When we look at law enforcement interactions with police, typically where the cop is coming from, in almost all cases, officer harassment and safety trumps individual rights. It's kind of like Terry v. Ohio. Terry v. Ohio, you can boil it down to officer safety trumps individual rights. I like one of the funny things that John Filax said, which I just want to throw out here just to break the ice. John Filax calls Audit the Audit the ultimate frauditor. But one of the things that he said in reference to officer safety is, did you know that donuts, when they used to manufacture donuts, they used to be square, but the state forced the donut manufacturers to make them round for officer safety. I thought that was hilarious. So let me just go over some of what you'll see in this video from Rights Crispy. This is the actual Rights Crispy video right here. Again, if you go visit Rights Crispy, let them know I sent you. The cop says they can't be here. Well, guys, if you're not free to put your life in jeopardy because your sister just got pulled over and you're far away from the investigation scene, if you're not free to put your life in jeopardy by pulling your car over to the side of the road, then you're not free. The cop wants both women to know, quote, I'm going to make sure that I go home every night. James Freeman actually did a really good a video on this, where he's got some excerpts of some of these cops and what they actually say and some of their training camps. Listen to this. Listen to the voice of psychopaths here.
The absolute most important thing is officer safety. And so we really highlight that officer safety issue.
The absolute most important thing is officer safety. If it's true, okay, so at least in this group of cops who are training other cops, the absolute most important thing is officer safety. They don't really care about you. They're going to say, just like this cop said on the side of the road, hey, I'm going to make sure that I go home every night because officer safety is number one. It's the top of the heap. It's not defending and protecting your rights or making sure that I'm a person of integrity and I follow principle and I, honor my oath. No, it's officer safety.
Dealing with. We'll go home if they choose to, right? But we go home.
Look in the mirror and ask yourself, can I kill a kid?
Wow.
Can I shoot a grandma? Can I shoot a mom?
Why would that ever be on the table? Why would that ever be something that you want your cadets or these cops that you're trying to train, that you would want to put that in their minds?
Shoot a dad? Can I shoot a brother?
You go home, you soul search, and you figure it out. And if that question hasn't been answered tomorrow, I suggest you don't come back.
Because if you can't, it's not you that's going to get hurt, it's your partner.
The deputy.
Amazing. It's just amazing. So this cop in this video, whether it was Crawford or D'Souza, said that, hey, I'm going to make it home at night. I'm making it home. At 10:17 in the original Rice Krispie video, he says it's not safe for Shelly to be in the back vehicle and to be sitting on the side of the road. Well, if it's not safe for Shelly in the black vehicle, I'm sorry, I said back. If it's not safe for Shelly in the black vehicle to be sitting on the roadside, then it's not safe for her sister in the white vehicle to be sitting on the roadside. There's so much inconsistency here. At 11:22, they say to Shelly in the black vehicle, you're impeding a traffic stop. She's 50 or 60 feet ahead of the traffic stop, just waiting for the cops to get done with her. And one of the reasons she pulled over is because there's a very real objective cause for concern whenever one of your loved ones gets pulled over by law enforcement. Their lives are in the hands of a psychopath. And you just pray that it's a good day for that cop and things are going right for him. Because if things are not, and he turns on a dime, he's going to start tripping and getting drunk on his own power, and then all bets are off. That's why Shelly pulled over in the black vehicle ahead of the white vehicle. At 11:22, you're impeding the traffic stop. At 18:05, he said, you're not allowed to be stopped here. If you're interfering with any kind of investigation, you could be detained at that point too and identified. I think this is when the sergeant came up and tried to clear things up. So basically, we deem you, even though you're 60 feet away and you could literally have pulled over because you had a flat tire, and that would have been okay. But because you're sitting here waiting for your sister to be done with this traffic stop, you're interfering with our investigation. We can detain you and we can violate our oath to the Fourth Amendment and make you insecure in your person. At 2021, they say this right here. I want to play this because I want you to hear this. They say, who's going to jail? And he said, no one. What do you mean, no? Oh, come on. Are you serious? I was really itching to cage somebody, man. I really wanted to put somebody in those, in the words of Chili from Delete Laws, those torture shackles. Listen to these guys. What do you mean no? They're so disappointed. What do you mean we're all set to take away 100% of somebody's freedom and throw them into a rape cage in general population? What do you mean no? The very thing that they wouldn't want done to themselves or their family, they're going to go ahead and do it. And Audit the Audit, Audit the Audit, this is the big thing I got a problem with. Audit the Audit gives these guys a B-. I want to show you this. It's like, well, you got some... you got a little bit of room for improvement there, but we're going to go ahead and give you a B-. I don't know about you, but in school, when I got a B-, I'll take it. I'll take it. It's way better than a C. It's way better than a D or an F. These cops clearly got an F. They failed. They failed the test of integrity. They failed to honor their oath. They abused a fellow human being. They did to somebody else what they wouldn't want done to them. They thought they had a higher claim over the life and property of other people. And Audit the Audit covers it up and says, well, there's court cases to substantiate that. They didn't do half bad. Not bad, copperoos. We know you really wanted to lock them up and throw them into that rape cage and throw away the key. And they also, wait till you see what they say about the little child. This is why I'm covering this right here, is because Audit the Audit was way off, and he's basically giving tyranny a B-. Here, let's give the tyrants, let's give the oppressors a B-. They also gave, Audit the Audit also gave Shelly and her sister a B-. While they remained calm, they didn't really understand the case law. They understood their rights. And they stood up for him. He's like, you better comply on roadside because, you know, you don't want to really fight your battles on the roadside. You want to do it in the courts. Yeah, because the courts aren't rigged in the favor of law enforcement.
Yeah, you know, you could have. Yeah, for sure. But that was, you know, that's up to you.
No, I just want to go home.
Yeah, I got you. She was just upset saying that basically you cussed her first, which then caused her to cuss back. And then she just basically thought it was very unprofessional. And now her boy had the other one. So
that's another thing. I keep hearing this. It was unprofessional. It was unprofessional. It was immoral. You did to somebody else what you wouldn't want done to yourself or your family members. That's all you need to know. I don't need Supreme Court case law. I don't even need the Constitution. All I need to do is be a human being who's honest with his own heart and actually walks with some modicum of integrity.
I gave her my card too, and I said that I would email Lieutenant. And
does she know she could go to jail for what she did?
Yeah.
Does she know she could go to jail for what she did? Well, I guess she could illegitimately. Who's this one? This is Crawford right here.
I mean, yeah, she just
she don't care.
She's saying that she didn't understand that she becomes part of the traffic stop when she fails to leave the traffic stop.
That's just a lie. She becomes a part of the traffic stop when she fails to leave the traffic stop. She wasn't at the traffic stop. She was way far ahead. Okay, how many feet could she be? Where's the law written? Where's the law? You need to be 2 football fields away, 3 football fields away at the next exit, not even on the road. And even if there was a law like that, it would be illegitimate because it would violate natural law. It would violate the Constitution that they swore to protect, defend, and uphold. I don't know why I can't get my... I don't know why it's...
I told her, but she didn't want to listen. She didn't want to believe that. She knew more than I did, so...
Yeah. Well, she calmed down a lot when I was speaking to her. She was polite and nice and not disrespectful.
Like this lady was too, right?
Yeah.
The same car, sweet and kind.
Yeah.
You can watch the video later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Want to tell me? She told me I didn't know what I was doing.
So
I had no right to go tag.
Yeah, I didn't know if y'all were done with the traffic stop.
I've been done.
Okay.
I've been done.
Okay.
The
Cars wanted to wait for you.
Yeah, got you.
The tires hit the pavement. I will put her in jail. Somebody can take that little kid out of the back seat.
I will put her in jail and take that little kid out of the back seat. You can't get much more psychopathic than that, guys. That is literal mental torture to do that. Take a kid out of the arms of their mother, throw the mother in jail, and take the child into child protective custody where, according to statistics, that child is likely to be sexually abused. This is beyond unconscionable. And they get a B- for this, guys. They get a B- for this from Audit the Audit. A B-. Listen to this. Here, we will play some of this.
Dealing with citizens. Overall, the Santa Rosa County Sheriff's deputies get a B- because although they were likely within their authority to order Ms. Shelley to leave the scene...
That's a lie. That's a lie.
And detain and identify her for refusing, they failed to properly de-escalate the situation, maintained a rude...
They didn't not only not de-escalate the situation, the reason the situation occurred is because they initiated it, and then they escalated it. They're the ones that upped it. They're the ones that issued commands. They're the ones that acted like the tyrants.
An unprofessional demeanor and improperly invoke the community caretaking function of their authority. There is no denying that the deputies were right about the legality.
There is no community caretaking function in law enforcement. What is it? What is it? Gonzalez versus Castle Rock. Even in the context of somebody who had a court order to keep Mr. Gonzalez from getting near Miss Gonzalez and the kids, even in that context, the court said the police have no obligation to protect the public. She had a restraining order on the guy, for crying out loud. And even in that context, there's no community caretaking. They're not obligated to do that. Say your own courts. They're Audit the Audit. Oh, shoot. I just, here we go. I just backed it up.
Because although they were likely within their authority to order Ms. Shelley to leave the scene and detain and identify her for refusing, they failed to properly de-escalate the situation, maintained a rude and unprofessional demeanor, and improperly invoked the community caretaking function of their authority. There is no denying that the deputies were right about the legality of their orders to leave and their authority.
That's another lie. Right about their, well, maybe they were right about their legality, so technically he's not lying, but under natural law, in the realm of humanity and how a human being should treat another human being, especially when they're operating under the auspices of serving and protecting, that's not something that should ever even have occurred in their minds.
To detain and identify Ms. Shelley, and there is a legitimate argument to be made that the deputies could have lawfully arrested her. All that said, just because an officer's conduct is lawful doesn't necessarily mean that it is ethical, logical, or productive. Rather than engaging in a heated debate with...
How about moral? How about it was downright immoral? These guys are chomping at the bit to take away this woman and her child.
This is the pavement. I will put her in jail. Somebody can take that little kid out of the back seat.
I will put her in jail and take that little kid out of the back seat. That's all you need to know about these guys. Nobody stepped up to go, hold on, take the little kid out of the back seat and do what with the little kid? Dude, you got to think through this. B-. B- Audit the Audit. So that's why John Filax is so outraged and calls Audit the Audit the frauditor. And people are telling me in the chat room, yeah, he's for law enforcement. Guys, if there's a guy who's actually out there doing this, and he's got a wide audience, let me show you this. He's got 1.48 million subscribers, and he gets like 400,000 views a day. Look, this month right here, he got 29 million views that month. That's almost 1 million views a day if there's 30 days in the month. Gains 110,000 subscribers. His audience is huge. There are a lot of people who watch this and then they get sensitized. It's like that, what was that, Live PD? It was basically police propaganda to get the masses to look at the police in a favorable light. This is what Audit the Audit is doing. How is that going to help society by brainwashing individuals in society to look at the cops like, oh, you conducted tyranny on the roadside? Oh, you guys were road pirates? Oh, you guys went over there to conduct a fishing expedition and take away rights from people who just wanted to be left alone? Well, you get a B- for that. That's desensitizing. It's demoralizing. It's dehumanizing. It welcomes tyranny. And it shouldn't be tolerated. Audit the Audit, if you're even watching this, I don't even have anything against you personally. You got to look at what you're doing, though. These court cases, as though the Supreme Court were God. Oh, yeah, God spoke from on high. And what could the little officers do but obey, because they're the priests of the state? They're the law enforcers of the state. They're the ones conducting this crusade on the rest of us. And that's what it is. It's a crusade. So I agree with what John Filax said. And he says things that are, you know, just hard for people to probably swallow, but seemingly true nonetheless. He calls Audit the Audit the ultimate frauditor, and it holds his feet to the fire to be a responsible individual out there with a large audience and not swing wide the doors open for the forces of tyranny, because that's what I view Audit the Audit is doing. This isn't personal. We're keeping this on an intellectual scale. You got some splaining to do, Audit the Audit, because you can't continue to be calling tyranny B-. You can't even call what those cops did a D-. This is a complete zero failure. Leave your thoughts. If you disagree with me on any scale right here, I will leave the link to Audit the Audit. James Freeman did a really, really good video on that, as usual. Writes Crispy. And I'll leave the Audit the Audit. I'm sorry, John Filax, James Freeman, Writes Crispy, and Audit the Audit. Look at this. I just want to show you real quick. 405,000 views a day, 2.8 thousand views a week, 12 million views a month. And he hasn't really sunk below 12 million views a month in a while. So there's a lot of people watching his stuff and buying onto what he's doing. Because if you look at Audit the Audit, he's got a really good like versus dislike ratio. It's 12,000 likes versus 697 dislikes. And nobody's holding his feet to the fire on that. And that's why none of us is greater than all of us, guys. I don't have all the answers. John Filax doesn't have all the answers. James Freeman doesn't have all the answers. We can all help each other out. But this right here, calling tyranny a B-, beyond the pale. Beyond the pale. Leave your thoughts about this. If you disagree, leave your thoughts about this in the comment section below. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell notification icon. Give this video a thumbs up. Share it with everybody you know. And I'll see you guys in the next video.